throughout this. As a heads up, I have just started the recording of this session, and I want to call out a few housekeeping items before we get going. First and foremost, I will have a live Q&A following our overview of our comprehensive resources that I'm excited to share with you tonight. But as we're going through this overview, I want you to know that the Q&A is live, meaning that you can input questions that pop up during our discussion in that Q&A. The chat function is not available, so you will only be able to input your questions or thoughts that you want to make sure that I address during that live Q&A in the Q&A function. All right. My name is Jessica Colts, and we're really excited about having the opportunity to really promote the various career resources that are available to you as a student and graduate of Rasmussen University as a benefit. We realize that some of you are probably very unfamiliar with the comprehensive tools that are accessible. We're going to walk through our guide that serves as a hub of all of our resources that articulates how you can effectively use generative AI in your job search. Identify how you can start gaining experience to find opportunities through our job board Handshake. Access graphics, interactive infographics, and so much more. Build your network, establish your professional brand, access meaningful webinars and tutorials, as well as research and understand your career path. And that's really just a high level overview of what you're going to have at your fingertips once we go into our live demo. Now, one of the most important components that we want to make sure we address is how you can effectively access all of these tools. Now, I want to just share, since I'm sharing my screen, I'm not going to have access to that Q&A function at this moment, but continue to input any questions or thoughts in the Q&A function throughout our discussion. All of you, I hope, are familiar with how to access the portal. Whether you're a student or a graduate, you have access to this and our career resources throughout your career. And the easiest way to access our guide is directly through the Resource tab and then clicking on Career Services. From here, you are going to see our Career Resource Guide homepage, which really is an interactive web page. I'm going to talk through all of these aspects in a few moments, but let's go over the home page. Our vision is to advise, equip, and empower individuals to contribute to the global community by supporting the achievement of personal and professional goals. We offer on-demand, self-service, career-focused resources to help job seekers successfully navigate today's ever-changing employer landscape. The purpose of these resources is to empower you. So I want you to know that our goal is to enrich you with all that you need to have right here. As you scroll down that home page, I want you to pay attention to this section here. We have our upcoming events, which is really our calendar of Rasmussen Career Services related events that we list and update in real time. So this is a great place for you to identify upcoming events and then register directly to. We then have our announcements in the middle, and then we provide a variety of helpful links that we recommend our job seekers to become familiarized. We have our Occupation Outlook Handbook, which is a hub of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, ONET Online that we're highlighting. And again, these are all hyperlinks, so you can just click on the icons to access what we're referencing here. Again, ONET Online is a subset of the Department of Labor. We recommend LinkedIn and joining our alumni group to really build your professional presence in social media. And we'll talk more about that shortly, as well as liking our Facebook page and engaging in discussion and seeing our tips, our promotion of events, and so much more. You'll then notice that there's an opportunity where you can update us on any career changes that you've had. So if you were excited to pass your ARRT if you're a rad tech graduate, or NCLEX if you're from our School of Nursing, then you're able to update your career and share with us where you're at right now. I definitely want to call out these 3 specific tabs. So Handshake is Rasmussen University's job board, but it's really so much more. There are features that allow you to build your network, find gainful employment, as well as gain experience in your perhaps new industry or the new part of your career path you're pursuing, and so much more. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Hiration then is our AI-powered resource. It's really dual faceted because it supports you in developing a accurate, pre-formatted industry resume that matches the degree that you are pursuing and allows you to get AI feedback on everything from job applications you're applying for. You can actually upload and use a job match function with the job description uploaded to ensure that your resume matches the positions you are applying for, as well as receive instant feedback on how to improve your resume and use AI to enhance perhaps your accomplishment statements or some of the areas that you are lacking. And then I said it was dual. It's because there's a fantastic interview prep feature that we recently launched. It allows you to record an interview on any career. You can type in medical assistant, business manager, accountant, nurse, you name it. And you're going to be able to go through questions that are relevant to that specific career, record yourself and get instant feedback or relatively instant feedback. We're talking about minutes here that allow you to understand how to improve your responses, your body language, and so much more. And then Liquid Compass is really an interactive healthcare job site. And although it's a healthcare job site, you should really think of any health system as kind of a city in itself, meaning that the jobs are not just specific to healthcare. They will include things like managers, IT, security. So really the whole gamut. Marketing, for example, human resources. So it's really applicable for all of the degree offerings that Rasmussen will benefit from using Liquid Compass as one of as one of their job sites that they're using. As I scroll down, I want to call out Candid Career. That is the widget that's moving around right now. This is a great tool with a lot of different short video recordings on just a plethora of career-related guidance. A lot of it's tied to interview, but it's really so much more. So it's a great way for you to become more confident in the career path you're pursuing. And then we also wanted to highlight and make sure that you're familiar with our own Career Services YouTube channel, where we upload recordings of webinars like this, as well as any of our video promotional items, our tutorials, and so much more. So definitely get familiar with the YouTube channel, and then be sure to subscribe so you get feedback when you go into YouTube when we have a new recording that we've posted. Okay, let's go up to the top. There are several tabs here, and each one is really jam-packed with quite a bit of content that we're continuing to build out. Starting with our job search tab. I want you to really know that even if you're like, well, I know how to search for a job, there's going to be some aspects here that are really going to benefit you no matter where you find yourself in your job search process, or for those of you that are like, hey, I'm not even there, I'm not ready to go into the job search process, this is a great way for you to get some preparation. When we think about the feedback we get from our students and graduates, we know that there is a strong desire to understand their individual career path opportunities and really have a more comprehensive understanding of their industry. And this tab has that and so much more. So we provide some overview on basics and some preventative with job scams, as well as some overview on workforce discrimination. We provide a fantastic tool, an example of an application tracker. For those of you that may have found yourself, well, I feel like I've applied so many places, I'm not hearing back from anywhere, I don't know what to do. Did you track when you applied, where you applied, what were the contacts, what was the link? This keeps everything in track so you have a little bit more control over that and can identify efficient follow-up as well as provide a opportunity when you know the position's filled that you can go on to something, you can look at your other opportunities if it's something that you weren't selected for. Using this helps you manage your job search. I talked about some of the pain points we hear often from our students and graduates, and that's related to the career path. We have some resources we've outlined to help you navigate your career research through ONET and that Occupation Outlook Handbook, as well as some guidance that we've created through infographics. So that is what this tab entails. We also want to call out and really celebrate the library databases that you have accessible for, that you're using or have used in your courses, very likely if you're a graduate, that provide you the industry research so you can really feel like you have a pulse and understanding of what companies are out there that you want to pursue. You know, what are some of the key executives? How do I go through the research, understanding an industry profile and so much more. So we wanted to call out some of the fantastic databases that are right at your fingertips. And I would be remiss, especially with how fast technology is going, the use of generative AI. For our current students, you're familiar with how we have incorporated AI-powered tools like Grammarly in the classroom, how we have embraced responsible use of generative AI. And it's something that you need to be competent in as a student, as a graduate, as a job seeker pursuing their jobs. There's an opportunity for you to use this technology to enhance your job search, which I brought up Hiration already with the AI-powered tool that it is, the application that it is. There are fantastic ways to use generative AI, and you must be competent in it at the workplace. Not only understand it, but understand how to use it. And so we provide some overview on do's and don'ts. We actually had a webinar on AI not too long ago, so that you can find that in our YouTube channel. And so this is really what that job search tab encompasses right now. Again, things are changing, we're adding more. So take advantage of looking through these tabs regularly. As far as the resume, perhaps one of the most common pain points we hear, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have some questions that pop through related to resume specifically. understanding how to develop a resume, there are plenty of you out there, I know, who haven't needed to create a formal resume in their career. They have applied for a position and they were able to get the job, or they walked in and they had an on-site interview. A resume is really important for you to make that first impression with an employer. And as we are living in such a virtual world right now, um, often this is your first impression is your resume. And so we want to help take the guessing game out of it. So we walk through with a cheat sheet we've developed. We have a complete resume writing guide and provide some overview on advice as you see at that bottom. We also stress the importance of cover letter and provide you an overview of how you can write a cover letter. We don't get too many questions specific to cover letter, or as much, I should say, as we do with resume, but I think it's because there isn't necessarily the understanding of how important it is, or as important as a resume. The majority of employers require it, want it, and or take notice of it, meaning that it is a great way to differentiate yourself from other job candidates, even if it's not a requirement. And so we want to help provide an overview of how to write it. We provide a sample cover letter formatting instructions, and then we provide some examples here. Hiration actually also has cover letters that we help developed within that resource as well. And then we wanted to make sure that if you go onto the site, you're just in resume, you are using and accessing Hiration. So we talk about how you can use it for resume creation, as well as I've developed a tutorial that walks you through that process so you can feel really confident on how to use Hiration quickly, efficiently, and really to get the ball going with your job applications. For our graduate students, more often than not, they are going to, or those of you that are in a higher level of a corporate job or non-corporate, you may find the necessity for a curriculum vitae or CV, as it's more commonly referred to. It's quite different than a resume, and we want to help you understand what that really means. We have examples of CVs that you can use as templates if desired and needed, built within Hiration. But we want you to have kind of a fundamental understanding of the differences, and so we have some resources here available for you as it relates to that. The subsequent tab is our interview tab. As I mentioned, resume is one of the most common pain points of our job seekers out there, whether it be student or graduate, whether they're currently working in the industry, re-entering the workforce or not. Interview is right up there. So we know that our students and graduates need and are wanting support with their interview, which makes sense. The number one fear out there is public speaking, which is very similar to an interview type of scenario. You are on the spotlight when you are in an interview environment. And so we want to help build your confidence. And we do that through a variety of tools right here. We have some PDFs to help you with preparation and how to answer questions in our preparation guide, as well as giving an overview of a checklist. We have a fantastic webinar we wanted to pull out and call out as it related to how to master the interview. Really learning the industry, the comprehensive preparation that helps you not only build confidence, but be set up for success in the interview process. And then we wanted to be sure that we talked about the elevator pitch or elevator speech, which is ultimately your introduction professionally to the employer. It is called an elevator pitch or speech because it is essentially the length of time it would take to go from one floor to the next in an elevator. So it's short, it's succinct. You don't want it to be robotic, but you want to make sure that you have an outline of specific items you are calling out in your elevator pitch and speech. So we have an outline and an overview for that. I wouldn't be remiss if we didn't talk about professional references in here. So we have a reference page example. It's really important that you don't confuse professional references with personal references that you may have needed for like a loan document or something like that in the past. Professional references speak to how you are as a professional. So it's best that they're current or former supervisors or managers, faculty, deans, fellow colleagues, fellow students, if you're in volunteer activities, anyone that's in charge with that, how they see you in a professional setting. So this highlights the importance of not only capturing references, but then reminding you to get their approval to be used as references and giving them the heads up when you do use them as a reference for a job application. Now, you may think, well, salary negotiation, isn't that kind of a different category? It can be, but really it's a subset. It's part of the interview process. And it's really important because you may be prompted, what is your salary requirement in the application? In fact, that's not an uncommon thing. And so it's important to start having an idea of how to go about the process, how to familiarize yourself with compensation packages. So we've incorporated that here, as well as provided some scenarios that you may find yourself in when you are interviewing. And then again, as I mentioned about Hiration, the dual function here is it's AI powered tool for the resume as well as the interview. The following tab then highlights career fair. We have numerous opportunities accessible. We highlight our upcoming events here that are available to you within the university. But there's a lot of employment events, including employment opportunities through means of virtual events that employers host through Handshake, that job board that I mentioned. And so we want you to feel confident, whether it's a Rasmussen event that you're attending, such as our nationwide career fair, or a subsequent event. So whether it's in person or virtual, we want you to feel confident with the steps and how to be successful with that. And in fact, we have an upcoming webinar that ties directly with this. So you can certainly reflect on that as well. As it relates to professional branding, we have certainly a variety of challenges in terms of what we hear from our students and graduates and how we can support it. And one ties with how to present themselves professionally. Certainly you can do that with interviewing and getting that AI powered feedback to an extent, but it's important. And the reason we have a separate tab for this is because you need to think of it both your virtual footprint, your digital footprint, as well as true, networking, grassroots, face-to-face type of branding. And so it's important for us to address specifically Facebook Meta. We know that that's often a social media platform that's used by our students and graduates. And there's a great opportunity for you to access Facebook for your job search specifically. And so it's important to have your privacy settings on your personal page, but to leverage it as an opportunity to like and follow other employers of interest and find events that they may be hosting. LinkedIn, I mentioned this initially as well as I did Facebook. This is a great place for you to really brand yourself as a professional, since it's really the social media component of, or the professional social media component out there. And so it's important for you to build a network through LinkedIn. There's a way for you to create your connections through this site, and then you would have a profile. And we want to make sure that your profile is complete and professional. And so we have a tutorial for that. We have a checklist, whether it be for a graduate or a student specifically. So for someone that says, well, I'm not currently working in the industry, how do I present myself professionally for that industry? So we have kind of a walkthrough with that, as well as a great way, again, to build your network, which is something we know our students and graduates are eager to do. It's great to connect through our chat and our discussion post as it relates to our Rasmussen University alumni group. And so that's a great opportunity for you as well. And as I mentioned, it's really critical to also think about in-person opportunities. Networking can be daunting, whether you're sociable extrovert or a very quiet introvert or someone that kind of falls in between. But you really need to get yourself out there, especially as a job seeker, and you'd be surprised at how many connections you already have that already exist that you probably are thinking are overlooking completely, in fact. And so we walk through how you can build that network through some of these tools here. The last tab that I'm going to highlight before we open up for Q&A is our newsletters. As a student or graduate, you should be somewhat familiar with these newsletters as we send them out quarterly through email. But in the event they're getting stuck in your spam folders or you're overlooking them, I really want to highlight these newsletters because it's a great place for you to find kind of a highlight. Think of it as just a high overview of what's new, what are some of the new things out there, and we archive our newsletters for you. So if you can't find it in your email or you don't know what we're talking about or your email changed, first let's make sure we update that in your in the portal. But we can also access your newsletters right here. So we have our most recent one from July already archived here, but we have again the subsequent first two editions of 2024 as well. And then we have all four for 2023, 2022, 2021, and then our first edition of our newsletter was the launch for us was the fall or October of 2020. And this really came out of a desire to stay even more connected to our students in a response with COVID, but it's been a beautiful way for us to continue building and bridging that community, which is why it's something that we've continued. And so, as I mentioned, I'm going to go back to that home page. The portal is the best way to access then the one-stop hub of all of our resources here, but you'll also notice that it allows you to then connect with other departments, some of the other guides that exist, as well as some additional resources that are available. I am going to stop sharing now and take a peek real quick at the questions that popped up while I go back to my PowerPoint slide. So hold tight just a second. I want to make sure I am calling out the Rasmussen events. So please take advantage of you can mark your calendars for sure, but you can also just keep this as a favorite, this guide link as a favorite on your whether it's your desktop or you can save it in notes or however you want to do it so that you can easily access the guide and then get into really pay attention to upcoming events that we have. We're really excited about what we've put together this year and what we're going to have in the future. And this continues to build out as more content is developed. So I wanted to definitely call that out as I go into our Q&A. So one of the questions that came through are It seemed like that was AI generated or pre-recorded. So professional help resources was what was posed by one person. What I want to assert is that we have various applications and we have a lot of links to then our databases and infographics. So it's not just pre-recorded events. We have live events like this that we promote through our upcoming event. We host our nationwide virtual career fair that is a great way to build community and so much more. And then we continue to respond to the support of how we can ensure that we have the tools that our students and graduates need to feel empowered in their job search. Now, I do want to call out that if you can't find what you're looking for, or you're really lost with something as it relates to what I just presented, we do have an email. You can reach out to Rasmussen or Career Services Online at rasmussen.edu. And present your question, and we will directly respond to it. I don't see any right now, but I did want to say, if you had a question that was very specific to you individually, I would be responding to you individually as it relates to your specific request if it was something very niche or very narrow to perhaps a circumstance. So it's not just AI generated or pre-recorded. We really try to personalize and meet the needs of our students and graduates. All right, another question that came up is with interviewing. I I know I threw a lot out there, and I hope you're like, wow, this is a lot of stuff she just shared, because it's quite comprehensive. Hiration, which you can actually access through its own link, but you can also access it right through the guide, is the tool that you're able to do the mock interview. So you're able to record yourself and practice interviewing right through there. Another question that had come up previously to this was, can I access these career resources anywhere else? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to go ahead and quick share my screen again. So bear with me just a moment. Outside of accessing it directly through the portal, I also want you to be aware that you can access it right through our guides homepage. So if you go into the guides, so right within the library function within our Rasmussen RAS guides, you can access our career resources right here as well. So you can then click on career resources under the student support section. And as I also mentioned, Hiration and Handshake are separate applications as our YouTube channel. So you can also do a search directly through YouTube for Rasmussen University Career Services to access us, as well as through Facebook and LinkedIn to get to our alumni groups. And so we try to make it easy by putting it in this one-stop hub, but I don't want you to think it's not accessible elsewhere. Another question that I know I've heard from, actually, there was someone who wasn't able to join, was related to what Handshake was. And I had mentioned that it's so much more than a job board, so I want to expand on that right now. So Handshake really has a lot of new features, including a feed. So Rasmussen University's Handshake, the positions that you access are approved by Rasmussen University. However, you can connect through a network of college and university students and graduates through the feed and get some professional development opportunities, hear from employers, as well as connect and build some more of that professional network through Handshake, as well as identify employer contacts. So perhaps you apply for a position through Indeed or through another job site like Liquid Compass that I had mentioned, and you're just not sure who to follow up with. So perhaps right in the job posting it wasn't accessible. You can go into Handshake and look up the employer and see if we have contacts connected to that employer that you can reach out to right through Handshake, or get their email or their LinkedIn account and build that connection right through LinkedIn as well. And then you, like I'm alluding to already, you can connect with employers right through Handshake as well. So perhaps there's not a posting for, let's say, Mayo that you are hoping to get into. You can still reach out and do an informational interview and say you're very interested and express your desire to work for them and start building that conversation. And you may be surprised that something can come right out of that. Just because a position's not posted doesn't mean that it's going to be posted very soon, or that they find the need and go back to you since you've expressed that interest. So those are some of the other components of Handshake. I'm going to just take a peek and see if there's any other specific questions that have come through. We are at 6:35, so nothing else has come through at this time. I just hope that I'm going to go ahead and go back to my slide deck so that you have just a reminder of some of the links. I want to thank you for your time. I know that you guys are all super busy. As I mentioned, I am going to have this recorded. And so I'm going to go back to our thank you. Be sure to keep note of any of our other webinars, whether it's directly through the guide, as I said, but I also wanted to say that we share this information through YouTube as well as our Facebook page. Thank you so much for your time this evening. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their week and are eager to use some of these fantastic resources right now. Take care. Thank you.